It's exciting, it's scary, it's empowering, and it's a test of who you're becoming. Be the guy who's locked in and let your personality come out over time. Don't force it. Don't try to move too quick. Don't try too hard. Excuses are easy. Accountability is rare. Rare is what gets noticed. You don't need to be the stud. You don't need to lead the warm up or hit the 3-run home runs in your first scrimmage. You just need to be humble enough to listen and learn, hungry enough to outwork the excuses, and smart enough to read the room and serve the team. These pillars matter. These things matter. These character traits matter, and it's going to help you on and off the field. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Next Season Podcast, episode 32. And I know it sounds cliche, but this summer has gone way too freaking fast. Where we are, it's been filled with cooler weather at the beginning of summer. We had some heat waves, but by and large, it's been mostly a summer filled with rain. It's been rainouts and reschedules. It's been wild. It feels like every time we had practice or we had games scheduled or a tournament scheduled, that's when the weather would come. So we had plenty of adjustments and reschedules, but we got them in for the most part. Hopefully you've had a great summer and enjoyed all the time you had on the diamond, in the stands, and anywhere else this summer took you. And of course, as we get into August, that means we're heading into a new school year. And for a lot of you, that means big transitions. Many of you are going to be freshmen stepping out of your home and into college for the first time. Obviously, that's a massive change. It's exciting, it's scary, it's empowering, and it's a test of who you're becoming. Many of you will be freshmen in high school. So even if you're not moving out of home and into college, just becoming a freshman in high school has its own big changes and new experiences and new challenges and new chances to step into the kind of athlete and teammate and student and human being that you want to be. Some of you in college may be transferring. So even if you're not new to college and going into college world for the first time, there's still a lot of new. You've got new teammates, you've got new coaches, you've got new locker rooms, new practice schedules, new school, new environment, new standards, all of that you're figuring out. So whether you're stepping into high school or to college or you're transferring programs or any other changes that you're going through, those first few weeks really matter. Don't get me wrong, how you present yourself and your habits and your words and your actions, your attitude, behaviors, your body language, all of that, they always matter. You can't fake it, right? You can't just focus on making a good first impression if that's not really who you are. And then you default back to other behaviors that are maybe not as strong because that's fake. People are going to see right through that. The things that we're talking about always matter. But I'm speaking specifically today about those first or early impressions because coaches are watching, your teammates are watching. And if you're old enough, you're later in high school, you're into college, scouts are watching. Now, as you go into college or even in high school, hopefully those coaches have already had a chance to watch you and meet you, get to know you a little bit. Hopefully you've shown them who you are and they like you enough to join their program and their culture. But your new teammates probably haven't met you yet. So that's the main focus of today's episode. But I'm not just talking about how you present to teammates. I'm talking to everyone. And here's something that most athletes don't realize. Your teammates are forming an opinion of you long before you ever step on the field with them. In fact, they're forming an opinion of you almost instantly. I'm talking 100 milliseconds. That's how fast the brain starts to judge someone's face and establish their feelings about you, whether they can trust you, whether you have confidence, whether you're coachable. It's all before you even say a word. 100 milliseconds. In about 7 seconds, they've scanned your posture, your body language, and your energy. And again, this is all subconscious. You're not really actively thinking about this, but you can immediately reflect on it as you observe somebody and judge somebody. And if you give it 30 to 60 seconds, somebody's already decided if you're worth investing more time in. That's not just an opinion. That's backed by neuroscience. And so today I'm going to give you a list of 5 things that you can do, 5 steps to being a garbage new teammate, a crappy new guy, how to turn off your new teammates and make your transition into college or high school even more challenging. And why am I talking negatively? It's not by accident. This is something called inversion thinking. Inversion thinking is a mental model or mental framework that focuses on solving problems by first identifying what to avoid, what to eliminate, and what's going to guarantee failure. Why? Because the human brain is wired to avoid pain and discomfort and embarrassment. If you've been around for any of the previous 31 episodes, you've probably heard me say that 31 previous times. Okay. The human brain is wired for a lot of things, and some of them are about avoiding pain and discomfort. So if you want to know the things that will lead to more stress, more anxiety, more frustration or hurt and pain, embarrassment, whatever it is, you can be more intentional to stop those behaviors and actions that might lead you down that path. So this approach that I'm taking, again, this inversion thinking is deliberate. I'm going to walk you through the top 5 things that you can do if you want to be a sus teammate. Okay. And then at the end, I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to flip this list around. I'm going to give you my top 5 ways that you can be a great teammate. And I'm not just telling you the opposite of the bad 5. You already know what to do if the opposite of those. I'm going to give you 5 things that you can really focus on that you may not have thought of. This is not theory. This is not me just speaking at you. This is real stuff. This is stuff I've seen. This is stuff I've done. These are mistakes that I've made, things I've done right, the stuff that coaches and scouts and teammates and teachers notice instantly. Let's go. And the first one is if you act like you're too cool. You walk into the new locker room like you've already earned it, right? Like everyone needs to come meet you and congratulate you. You got your arms crossed, you're not making eye contact, shades on, right? Acting like you're unbothered, like you've seen it all before. It's a facade. You want to come across as confident, and you're trying to come across as confident, like you belong. And maybe you've had a ton of success and attention and you've got some natural swagger. That's awesome. But you need some awareness and you understand what other people might see. And what they might see is this dude thinks he's already made it. And it's an instant turn off. And that's how you can burn trust real fast. We've all seen it, right? That young stud who walks around like he's better than everyone. And maybe he is legit. Maybe he's the best player on the team. But if that demeanor crosses over from confidence to arrogance, that's a turnoff. And you know this. Baseball is going to humble you. When you come in with humility, your teammates are going to give you much more leeway when you screw up, and you will screw up. When you come in with arrogance, you're walking on thin ice. The difference between real confidence and false confidence, which is arrogance, is in that word that I just said. It's in humility. Now, from a neuroscience and human behavior perspective, arrogance is often a front, a facade. It's a defense mechanism. It's your protector. And this can really become present when you're in situations like going into new environments or new teams with new teammates, anything that's uncomfortable because you're nervous. That's real. That's human. If you try to say you're not nervous, you're lying. Hey, embrace it. It's okay. When you're new, your brain goes into social threat mode. Your amygdala scanning the room. It's worrying about judgment, rejection, status, something called the spotlight effect, where you think everyone's watching you, everyone sees you. Okay, so what do? You put up armor. You cross your arms, you put your sunglasses on, you fake that chill. Okay, that's your nervous system trying to protect your ego. But the catch is that armor, that wall, that facade disconnects you from the team. So just at the moment that you are trying to build trust in relationships and have some vulnerability and let people into your world and step into other people's world, you put up that wall and it creates a disconnect. It creates distance. The brain craves connection, not isolation or elevation. If you want trust, don't posture, engage. So instead, keep your head up, make eye contact, shake hands, ask questions, listen more than you talk. Presence, true presence, beats posturing every time. Okay? That's the first way, is thinking you're too cool and putting up that wall. The second way to be a terrible or garbage teammate is to be late, even once. Being on time doesn't mean sliding in the door at 4 p.m. when practice starts at 4 p.m. It means you're ready, locked in at 4 p.m. Gear on, mind ready, no excuses. Early is on time and on time is late. And I get it, things happen. accidents, mistakes, delays, whatever. Okay. If it happens, own it, apologize, and maybe even say it won't happen again. But if you're going to say it's not going to happen again and you're going to own it, you should also say what you're going to do differently to ensure it doesn't happen again. That's often the forgotten part of taking ownership and responsibility. You can say, "Oh, I own it, my bad, my mistake." But if you don't say, "Here's what I'm going to do in the future to fix it to ensure it doesn't happen again," that's the piece that's often missing. And then the biggest piece that's often missing is not following through on that. So, quick example, in college, we had early morning team workouts, okay, 5 a.m. We had a guy miss it one time. His alarm didn't go off. It happens. We've all done it, right? Totally accidental. He apologized. He meant it, and we believed him. But in what happened again about a week later, and then again, we realized that this is not an isolated incident. And it became a pattern where we lost trust in him. That trust is fragile. Doesn't mean he was a bad person. It's about being dependable. And in those moments, he wasn't dependable. If you go back to earlier episodes, we talked about this. Dependability is currency. Reliability is currency. If your teammates cannot count on you, if your coaches cannot count on you, that's an issue. So the brain science of this, punctuality sends a signal. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that controls that planning and time management responsibility, the CEO of your brain is firing, right? If you're late, that's a red flag. And it's not just to others, but to your own brain. If you do it enough, it rewires your sense of urgency and your discipline, and it impacts your self-worth and your self-esteem. If you show up late consistently, not only is it stressful because you're feeling that stress and that anxiety about being late, and you're not feeling relaxed and at ease going into whatever you're, whether it's practice or lifting or games or whatever. If you're running in late or class, okay, that's automatic stress that's already got your cortisol elevated. But if it happens consistently, now it's impacting your self-worth and self-esteem. When you show up early consistently, people can rely on you. And you have that sense of self-worth and self-reliance that you can count on yourself. You trust yourself. Full transparency, this is one of my biggest personal challenges. I grew up in a household when we were regularly late or rushed. This has been present in all of my adult life as well, and it impacts other people. I have a family, I have a wife and kids, friends, and team, a team that I coach. I'm aware of it. I work on it, and I need to do better. And there are some studies that talk about the behaviors and tendencies of people who struggle routinely with accuracy, perceiving, and managing time. They call it time blindness. But I can't use that as a crutch or use that to attempt to justify when I'm late. It matters. There are studies that talk about this. I'm not going to use it as a crutch, but it is real. So, what I'm going to encourage you to do is if you are somebody that's experiencing this, set 2 alarms. Pack your gear the night before. Leave earlier than you think you need to. Way earlier. Show up early. Stay late. It matters. Okay. So those are the first 2, right? Thinking you're too cool, putting up those walls. And second is being late. The third way that you can be a sus or garbage teammate is trying to be the clown too early. Every team has a jokester, a hype guy, someone who lightens the mood, right? It's the culture guy. But if your goal walking into that new environment is to get laughs right away, if you're trying to be the funny guy before you've earned that trust, before people really get to know you, that humor is going to quickly turn into noise. If you haven't earned the respect and the trust, the jokes aren't going to land. They just create distraction. It's the guy who comes in cracking jokes before the first team meeting. He's talking loud. He's roasting people. He's got the sarcasm. He's got the comebacks. He doesn't even know it yet. It's not funny. It's awkward. I remember in high school, there was a new kid who came in to our school mid-year. And the first day that he was there, we invited him to join our table at lunch. And we're hanging out, we're talking, getting to know him all good. The next thing you know, he smashes up a pack of saltines and he pours it on my buddy's head. He didn't read the room. And that little prank didn't land. And it made his first few weeks really awkward. He was acting out of, again, that anxiety and that stress of I'm trying to fit in, I'm trying to be funny, trying to make people laugh. And it was all nerves that probably made him do that, but it wasn't the right timing. Again, just like arrogance, it's often a front and protective mechanism. If you try to be the center of attention too early, you're going to end up on the outside. Humor is great. Humor can build connection, but only when that timing and that context are right. Your brain's social circuitry craves belonging. We're wired going back to our hunter gatherer days to require connection and acceptance in order to survive. If we were isolated in those early days, we would die. It's strength in numbers. So many people try hard to fit in, try too hard, and it backfires. When humor is used to cover that insecurity or avoid vulnerability, it reads as a social risk to other people. So instead, read the room before cracking jokes. Build connection through that presence, not through punchlines. Be the guy who's locked in and let your personality come out over time. Don't force it. Don't try to move too quick. Don't try too hard. Funny matters. Humor matters. It's all important, but trust comes first. The fourth thing to do if you want to be a garbage teammate is to blame and make excuses. If you mess up, okay, everyone does. But what happens next is what separates teammates, real teammates, from liabilities. When you start pointing fingers at the field, at the coach, at the lighting, at the weather, at your teammates, people stop listening to your words and they start judging your character. Excuses tell the team a lot about you. And even if you point at one teammate and not another, people know it's only a matter of time before they're a target as well. I coached a young player who would deflect in wine after every mistake that he made. If he grounded it into a double play, it was a terrible call. If he booted a routine ball, it was a bad hop. He struck out looking, the ump squeezed me. Missed a pop up in no man's land, he's pointing at his fingers at his teammates for not making the catch or calling him off. Everything is everyone else's fault, and he's always the victim. Even when he was right. Even in those few circumstances when he was right, nobody cared because he never owned it. It was just the same old story. You'll lose the locker room. You'll lose the bench. You lose the team when you refuse to look in the mirror. Blame is another defense mechanism. Notice the theme here, okay? It activates your brain's default mode network where you protect your self-image by avoiding responsibility. It feels safer, but it sabotages growth, your own growth, and relationships. On the other hand, ownership activates the prefrontal cortex, which is linked to self-awareness and maturity and learning. It's the hard thing to do. It's massively vulnerable and it's a hit to the ego, but there's no better way to build trust and to grow than truly taking ownership. So instead of blaming, instead of making excuses, own it quickly, calmly, without drama. It's not just saying my bad. It's not just saying my fault. It's that's on me. I screwed up. And here's what I'm going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again. And then back it up with action. If you shift from why me to what now, that's taking ownership. Excuses are easy. Accountability is rare. Rare is what gets noticed. The fifth thing to do if you want to be a garbage teammate is to talk garbage about your old team. Let me be crystal clear on this. Do not walk into your new team bashing your previous team. Even if your old coach was clueless, even if your old team was toxic, even if you were treated unfairly. Because the second you start with, well, at my last school, well, with my last team, or my last coach, you're not building credibility. You're building distance. What your new teammates and coaches hear is if he's saying that about them, he's going to say it about us. It's the same with pointing fingers and blaming other people. That trust is going to be gone. You've seen it. It's the transfer who couldn't let go of his old program, right? Every practice, every drill, he'd start with, at my old school, we used to, right? And no one cares. He's not at his old school anymore. And clearly he hasn't moved on. So instead of earning and building buy-in, he built a wall. His inability to let go of the past kept him from being part of the present. You cannot have the past in the present. You process the past you perform in the present, and you prepare for what's next. I see the same thing in the professional world the work that I do in the professional world, in my last job, blah, 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 or my last boss, blah, blah, blah. When I interview people and they bash their previous employer, we ask simple questions like, tell me why you're leaving your previous job. The thing that interviewers look for is if somebody is going to bash or talk negatively about their previous employer, their job, their team, it's a red flag. That's what they're looking for as a way to eliminate people from the position. Or in relationships, when we compare our previous partners or project certain things that you don't like onto your new partner, even if it's not them, all of this can be damaging in building those new relationships. It's that protective mechanism, once again, that you have to be aware of and you need to work to squash. Gossip, complaining, right? That's what this is. It triggers cortisol spikes, not just in you, but in everyone who's listening, everyone who hears you. Cortisol equals stress. So your words can literally stress out the locker room. The brain doesn't forget who made it feel that way. If you want to stand out the right way, be the guy who brings calm, who brings clarity, who brings forward looking energy. Focus on what you want to build. Talk about what excites you, not what frustrated you. Let your work talk louder than your history. Carry those lessons from your past, but not baggage. There are certainly a whole bunch more of these steps or habits or behaviors that can and will derail your first impression and potentially damage your reputation as a new teammate. Let's start with this list, this 5. And I've given you some tips to consider and practice instead of making those mistakes. But in addition, what about 5 ways that you can be an ideal new teammate, right? That awesome new teammate. As promised, I'm going to give you those 5 now. So if you want to be an awesome new teammate, here are 5 things you can do. First, keep your mouth shut and your ears open. When you walk into a new team, realize this: there's already a rhythm, there's already a culture, there's already standards, there's already a vibe, and you can add to that, you can contribute to it, but you're not going to shift it. Before you talk, watch. Before you lead, follow. This is not about being passive, it's about being aware. Leaders don't walk in the door barking orders. They earn their voice by first understanding what that room looks like. So ask questions before giving opinions. Learn the team's language and inside jokes before you start being the wise guy. Respect the routines that already exist, even if they're different from the ones that you're used to. Write down what you noticed. Like here's a pro tip: write down what you notice. Reflect on it, journal it. Who leads the stretches? What's the tone before games? How do they end practice? What are small things that I can do that can help reinforce that culture and that standard? Your brain's mirror neuron system lights up when you observe and watch others. And that's how you learn body language. That's how you learn rituals, emotional cues, everything faster than any playbook could teach you. And when you can learn them off the field, in the practices or the classrooms and the locker rooms or the dynamics and the hanging out with friends, you're going to have that same synergy and coordination when you step on the field. Observation wires your brain for faster adaptation. So again, listen first, then speak when it adds value, not just noise. And remember, people tend to listen more to those who talk less. The second way that you can be an awesome new teammate is to look for work. If you want instant respect from teammates and coaches, be the guy who's already moving when something needs done. When I was younger, I worked in restaurants and we'd always say, no empty hands. If you're walking around with nothing in your hands, you're not helping. So what that meant was you constantly have something in your hands. You're cleaning, you got a tray, you're delivering something, you're picking something up, whatever it is. Okay? No empty hands. Whatever you need to do, but it better be providing value. If you see an empty bucket, start picking up the balls. If you see a teammate that's hauling screens, grab the other side. See trash on the field or in the dugout, pick it up, even if it's not yours. No one should have to tell you this. This isn't about kissing up. This is about being a pro. This is about stewardship. Now, as a coach, I don't want to be the coach who has favorites, but there are certainly favorites. And it's almost never because of their on field talent. I've played with, I've coached, I've worked with some absolute studs on the field. And I'll tell you, I can think of a small list of teammates I had that I didn't like at all. And a good number of them were studs on the field. They were great players, but they were crappy teammates. The players that I like coaching, the players that I like playing with, are the ones who are picking up the gear, the ones who are cleaning out the dugout. They're raking the fields. They're putting the bases back. They're cleaning the pens. They're volunteering to catch extra bullpens for the pitchers, helping teammates with studying, all of it. There was a kid on my high school team who didn't have the most talent, but he put in the work. He was this kid with no empty hands. And it wasn't for show. It was because he wanted to be valuable and he wanted to be a part of the team. So he picked up the gear. He caught the pens, never said a word. And by midseason, every pitcher wanted to throw to him. He didn't talk his way into trust. He didn't joke his way into trust. He worked his way into it. From a brain science perspective, this builds what's called reputation capital. In a team setting, these small helpful actions cue your teammates' brains to release oxytocin, which is a trust chemical. It literally makes them want you around. So be the guy who sees the need and fills it. They provide value. Effort compounds. Every bucket that you pick up counts. The third way to be a great freaking teammate is to keep your world small. Here's what I mean. There's going to be drama. There's going to be rankings and politics and depth charts and things that you don't necessarily agree with. You're going to hear whispers. You're going to hear gossip. You're going to see the social media posts, and it's going to be easy to spiral. But don't take that bait. Keep your world small. Lock in on the things that you can control. Your reps, your recovery, your response, your attitude, your actions, your words, your thoughts. Those are the things that you can control. You got to control what you can control. What we say is control your 3-foot space. Is that immediate space around you that you have control over your output and you have control over what you allow in. This disciplined focus on your 3-foot world releases dopamine. It's your brain's anticipation and motivation chemical. When you stay locked in on what you can control, you're training your brain to crave the right feedback loops. On the other hand, distraction, whether that's scrolling or comparing or gossip, whether you're listening to it and allowing it in or you're participating in it, it fries that system and it drains your energy. Energy that you need to perform, energy that you need to adapt, energy that you need to handle life's challenges of being a student athlete or being a pro athlete. That focus builds fuel. Distraction drains it. So put the blinders on when you need to, do the little things right, and let that momentum build quietly. The fourth thing that you can do to be an awesome teammate is to be coachable, to take notes. Feedback, when you get feedback, even if it's not good, is a gift, but only if you really receive it. It's not about just nodding and forgetting. I encourage you to write it down, apply it. If you want to impress a coach without saying a word, pull out your notes the day after they gave you feedback and coached you, even if it was hard to hear, and show them that you listened. Show them that you heard it, you reflected on it, and you took it in. From a coach's perspective, we always remember the guys who come back better because of a small detail we gave them. Even the little things, right? Like I might even forget that I coached somebody, gave somebody a coaching tip, but when they come back a week later and say, here's what I've done to apply it, that's impressive. It shows maturity, it shows discipline, emotional intelligence, and a hunger to learn. When you write things down, it activates the hippocampus and something called the reticular activating system. So these combine to help with memory retention and learning. So if you really want to remember something and have it absorb into your system to actually affect change, writing it down is a hack. Even just jotting down a few bullet points after practice hardwires your growth. It's not nerdy. This is how pros operate. So if you want to have a journal, if you want to keep notes on your phone, anything you need to do, but I encourage handwriting. Okay. Be the guy who turns that feedback into results. The fifth way to be an awesome teammate is pretty clear. It's take care of your gear and your body. This one is the most slept on ways to earn respect. If your cleats are beat, if your bag's a mess, if your energy level is always low, people are going to notice. How you treat your gear and how you treat your body and your mind shows how seriously you're going to take your game and what kind of teammate you are. You don't need to be a supplement junkie or a recovery wizard, in hyperbaric chambers 24/7, things like that. Okay, just act like it matters. What it looks like. It's hydrating before practice, not just after. It's foam rolling and stretching and prepping, right? Intentionally before practice, before games, before gym sessions. It's showing up with clean gear that's packed and ready. You know where everything is. You're not missing anything. You're not forgetting anything. It's eating like an athlete. These habits create what's called pre-performance priming, and they signal your brain that, hey, we're ready to compete. I'm here. I'm ready. That boosts reaction time and mental focus. Some of the best ways to do this are to incrementally build. If this is not you right now, build small daily routines. Figure out one or two things you can add and establish that habit for a week or 2 weeks, and then tack on another one. This is called habit stack. So you don't, if there's 5 things you want to add, you don't want to add all 5 at one time. Pick one or two and get that ingrained into your habit, into your routine, into your system. Okay. Build upon it 1, 2, 3 weeks, then add the next one. Pros don't just hope to feel good, they prepare to feel good. In the military, they say, if you take care of your gear, it'll take care of you. I have a family member who was a Marine for nearly 20 years and something like 10 deployments. He's now in law enforcement. And I recall him describing the meticulous ways that was ingrained in them to clean their gear before and after missions, when they're exhausted, when they're beat, when they've had little to eat and drink for hours or days, right? And they're craving food and they're craving rest, they're exhausted, right? And yet they spend an hour or more unpacking, cleaning, prepping all of their gear before they eat or sleep. It's not life or death on the baseball field, but you can apply this to sports. You can apply this to relationships. If you take care of your friends, if you take care of your teammates, if you take care of your coaches, they're going to take care of you. It's called reciprocity. If you focus on service and stewardship and providing value, you'll get it paid back, but only if it's genuine. Here's the truth. You don't need to walk in and be the superstar. You don't need to be the stud. You don't need to lead the warm up or hit the 3-run home runs in your first scrimmage. You just need to be humble enough to listen and learn, hungry enough to outwork the excuses, and smart enough to read the room and serve the team. Hungry, humble, and smart. Those are 3 traits that leadership expert and author Patrick Lencioni defines as the ideal team player. And that's really who we're describing here today, is the ideal team player. And it's a cheat code for earning respect fast. Hungry, humble, and smart. And when you add in ownership and accountability and presence and reliability, you've got that foundation. These are all parts of the 4 core pillars that I teach and emphasize at Next Season: and talent, effort, ambition, and mindset. These are all parts of the bricks that make up those 4 pillars. The rest, that'll come, but make your first impression count. And if you mess up that first impression, own it, reset, and rebuild. If this hits home, whether you're a teammate, you're a freshman going into college or high school, if you're an upperclassman who wants to be able to help out your freshman, the new freshman coming in, if you're a coach, if you're a parent, okay, whoever, wherever you are, share it. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear what works. Would love to hear what resonates. If you have any questions from me, if you want to learn more about my coaching program, please reach out. It's always awesome to hear from you guys. And as always, these pillars matter. These things matter. These character traits matter. And it's going to help you on and off the field. So remember, keep stacking bricks. We'll see you next time.